what a way to start Week 7, 33-31 Cincinnati over Pittsburgh. We welcome you to Fantasy Football today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco made it pretty legendary last night. Adam Azer, Dave Richard, and Jamie Eisenberg. It is Friday, October 17th. We got a case of the Fridays. We're feeling good. Happy Friday, everybody. Jamie's got that. My start of the week was amazing. Bounce in his step. Nice work, Jamie.
Nice work, Jalen Warren. No, I did nothing.
You did everything. Jalen, they interviewed him after the game, and he actually shouted you out. He said, my guy said start of the week, I got to come through, and he did for 19.8 PPR fantasy points, but he wasn't as good as the quarterbacks, Dave.
No, he wasn't as good as the quarterbacks. Jamie, I want to ask you something. You've been doing starts of the week for, it's got to be 22. What year is it? Almost 20 years. It's got to be in that range. Maybe it's exactly 20 years. Have you ever had two starts of the week?
There are two in the same week. I've done some, like, two guys in the same backfield, two situations like that, same team.
You've got a chance, man. If you want to do it. No pressure from me or anybody in the chat to have another start of the week this week. Go for the double up on starts of the week.
Well, let's play a hypothetical, right? We've got 7 games to talk about today.
Okay.
We've got Philadelphia, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Detroit, Atlanta, San Francisco, New Orleans, Chicago, Green Bay, Arizona, Houston, Seattle. If there were one kind of fringy, should I start this guy kind of player that it's, yes, you should. He's the start of the week in this slate. Who would it be?
I'll go JMO.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Dave, how about you?
I'd have to think about it a little bit more. JMO is an interesting call for sure. I might go with Bill, who's already being started in a ton of leagues. So I don't know if it's right to go with him because everybody's starting him anyway.
No,
but it was one name that came off the top of the dome. We should talk about some candidates as we go along, going game by game today.
All right, let's start with a recap of Cincinnati and Pittsburgh here. And this was just a fantastic game, and both of the quarterbacks look great. Jamar Chase, unofficially, you can Google something and then StatMuse will spit out a stat for you, and I have to hope it's correct, but unofficially third most targets in a game in football history. And he's
Chris Chambers and Brandon Marshall.
Okay, then I guess it's right. Yep, so that's exactly what it spit out. StatMuse is awesome.
Brandon Marshall's with the Jets, right?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Chambers with the Dolphins. That much I remember.
How much are we believing what we saw last night in terms of these offenses, these passing offenses could be this good going forward, Jamie?
I think for the Bengals, you could believe it to a certain extent, not to these heights, but look, this is what we hoped Joe Flacco would look like with the Browns and opening up all these weapons in Cleveland. And now you take that to another level when you have the receivers in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase was open almost the entire night. Like, I don't know how that's humanly possible.
It's Jamar
I know the run game was going well. I know Mike Tomlin halftime said the first thing out of his mouth was we have to stop the run because you don't expect the Bengals to run like that. Their rushing attack, certainly in the second quarter, was as good as it's been all season. But, like, I don't know. I'm going to stop the best receiver in football or one of the best receivers in football. And the best part about it is this is 2 weeks. It's 2 games in 10 days. Like, this is fantastic for Flacco because the chemistry is only going to get better. Now, look, he's going to clearly face more pressure. That was the best part, I think, of everything was the way the offensive line played for Cincinnati. The way that they were chipping and using guys to keep TJ Watt off of him. Only 2 quarterback pressures for Watt, whatever that was, career low or something like that. It was a great job of just protecting him up front. But it just felt like anytime he wanted to throw the ball to Jamar Chase, to me, the two most, I don't know, the 2 most fascinating plays, but the sequence back-to-back of the touchdown called back when he doesn't control it through, okay, we're just going to go again, get a touchdown. Then which I thought was stupid, the play on the sideline where he clearly drags his toe, and I know he bobbles a little bit, but that's a catch. It's just so stupid with the possession. Okay, we're just going to go right back to him again. Like, it was just as if, like, you can't stop this, and we're going to go to it over and over and over again. I really think, honestly, the bigger takeaway is, can T. Higgins be this? Because if T. Higgins can be this, then we're back to being all in on him.
6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown on 10 targets. Really, what's that?
Should have had 2.
Should have had 2.
Yeah,
but did the right thing by sliding before getting into the end zone.
Yep.
He pulled a Westbrook. Shout out B West.
And he was started in 55% of leagues. So, Dave, do me a favor. Let's rank for the rest of the season, because Chase Brown also had a very good game, right? It's actually, and it's funny.
It was a very good game for him. Yes.
Yeah, wasn't a great fantasy game, but it was startable. He was also started in about half the leagues, 56%. So, rank rest of season. Jaylen Warren, it was not just a great game for him because he played well, but because he absolutely dominated touches. Jaylen Warren, Chase Brown, T. Higgins, rest of season.
Higgins, Warren, Brown.
Same ranking, Jamie?
Warren, Higgins, Brown. I don't want to get too excited about what I saw from T. Higgins. Dave had a great stat going into this about what T. Higgins had been with Jamar Chase, without Joe Burrow. This felt like just the Steelers defense week 1, when they just looked awful. The next 2 games are very favorable for T. Higgins because you assume Sauce Gardner is probably going to see a lot of Jamar Chase, which, that's where Joe Flacco will probably still go. But I mean, we know the second receiver and then the Bears. So there's opportunities for T. Higgins to be great. But I also think what you see from Jaylen Warren, like anytime you get these type of running backs that aren't scoring, like the touchdowns will start to come. So if he's going to get this type of work, I still think there's a lot to love about it. Plus what he was doing in the passing game, even prior to last night.
Final question. Are Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco mostly just super flex guys, or are they in the streaming conversation on a more weekly basis?
I would say Flacco should be in the streaming conversation. Rodgers less so. I think Rodgers took advantage of an awesome matchup and a big opportunity. We knew the Bengals defense wasn't that good to begin with. And then they didn't have Trey Hendrickson. How many times was the answer 0?
Once.
No, I don't think he got sacked once.
Oh, you didn't watch the whole game then, Dave, because after the touchdown to Pat Freiermuth, his offensive lineman tackled.
Oh, I sit corrected. But the first touchdown was a great example where Rodgers just literally had 10 seconds to wait for Jonnu Smith to get open and then threw him the touchdown, and that started the game. He's not going to have many matchups like this the rest of the way, certainly not next week against Green Bay. So this feels more like a 1-week thing for him. And I think we've seen enough from Joe Flacco this week, last week, where he upgrades the receivers that he plays with, and those receivers give it right back to him. They upgrade his numbers. And so there's huge opportunity for Joe Flacco to be a streaming quarterback moving forward. And the schedule's not that bad. For the next 2 games, it's not that bad.
I agree with most of what you said about Rodgers. The only thing I think maybe give him a little more credit is he's also coming off a pretty solid game against the Browns. And so what he did, I'll go back to what I said going into the game. This felt very much like Sam Darnold. What we were saying about Darnold was the reality was good. The fantasy wasn't always great. He was kind of hovering in that, for Darnold, that 18 to 20 point range. And Rodgers lower than that. So again, didn't expect the same type of ceiling. But now we saw the ceiling. And he did this last night with DK Metcalf, minimal production. I hope they trade for somebody. I mean, this is one of the teams that you just keep hearing trade partner for, any wide receiver that's mentioned. So let's just say Jacoby Myers goes there, and now it's Metcalf and Myers, just another player to help him out. Like, he's doing this with the other guys. And so can he continue to just live like this? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be this good, because you're right, Dave, the schedule's tough. But I do want to give him some credit for what he just did against Cleveland, which no other quarterback did besides Lamar Jackson.
All right. And the big difference to me between Flacco and Rodgers, because they don't run, even though Rodgers is looking much more mobile.
Hold on. That run by Flacco on the
that was
zone read. Watch out, everybody. Here he comes. Flacco with his legs.
The big difference is the pass attempts. I mean, Joe Flacco, almost every time he plays, he throws more than 40 passes. He's thrown over 90 passes in 2 games now with the Bengals. So it's kind of like Dak Prescott. It's bad defense, explosive offense, a ton of pass attempts. It's actually pretty exciting. And then my last takeaway was, the Bengals are so bad against tight ends. They're so bad against tight ends. Mason Taylor beat the waiver wire. He's got a good matchup this week, and he's got the Bengals next week. Okay. And that
maybe no Garrett Wilson.
Exactly.
Maybe he'll get 4 targets.
That is it for Thursday Night Football.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And football fans, picture this. You bet on your favorite player to score the first touchdown in the game, and his teammate scores instead. If this happens, BetMGM wants to give you another chance at the end zone. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you're going to get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second instead. So that's right. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. And if you're right, you win. And if your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. With BetMGM's second chance offer, you have a chance to keep the fun going after the first player crosses the goal line. Try a first touchdown scorer wager with confidence today. BetMGM, make it legendary. And use the code FANTASY when you sign up, by the way. Sunday morning, we are here at 8:30 a.m. First, we'll have Express at 7:45, and then 8:30 a.m. for 1 hour. That is me, Dave, and Jamie. At 8:30 to 9:30 to get you ready for the London game. And then noon to 1, that is me, Jacob, and Heath. We'll get you ready for the rest of the slate from noon to 1. YouTube.com.
Which hour do you like better?
Football today. Which hour do I like better?
Don't lie.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't, because
It's 12 to 1. We know it because you get to take a nap and then you come back and you get
I don't get to take a nap. That's the thing. The game is on. I can't nap.
We know you're sleeping.
No, I'm never. I missed that nap. All right. Anyway, news and notes. All right. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be for San Francisco. So Purdy, Mac Jones, who do you have ranked right now?
Brock Jones, Mac Purdy.
I think you have Mac Jones ranked, right?
Yes.
We do.
Okay. But we don't know. It's a Sunday night game against Atlanta. We're ranking Carson Wentz and Kyler Murray. Are we expecting him at this point?
TBD.
Right. One more practice on Friday, and then probably the Cardinals will tell us if he's playing or not. I don't think they'll take it up to game time.
Okay, running back news. Chuba Hubbard expects to play. Are you guys now expecting him to play? Are you ranking as if he's playing Chuba Hubbard?
We have not. This will be one of those Friday rankings. The only change in our rankings that we made yesterday was Quentin Johnson was added because he practiced in full.
Okay.
He didn't. He was limited in the second straight day, but we're still expecting him.
Okay.
With Chuba?
No,
Johnson.
Quentin Johnson. Johnson was limited officially.
Oh, his injury report said full.
I went to their website this morning, and the Chargers said he was limited.
Oh, okay. I guess I saw one of the beat writers, the official report.
Me too, Jamie. Yeah. That's pretty much all the running back news.
I would expect. Are we talking about that game? Yeah, we are,
No.
right? Pan?
No.
We're not. I would guess that Rico still keeps a big grip on the workload. Kind of an obvious statement, but Chuba eased in. Rico still dominates.
Yeah, I have a lot of Rico, and I was like, I got to sit him. And then I said, maybe I don't have to sit him. He's still a flex. Okay.
I wouldn't expect him to get 200 yards.
Wide receiver Garrett Wilson missed practice, and Josh Reynolds was limited. So that's good that Reynolds is back. Calvin Ridley missed practice again. Puka not expected to play. DJ Moore limited. Are you ranking DJ Moore?
Not yet.
No.
Let's see. Josh Downs in the concussion protocol. We could get Marvin Harrison. So it's still Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson look like, Wilson practiced in full. Zay Jones missed practice again. Marvin Harrison was limited. We're going to talk about that game in a bit. I picked up Michael Mayer in a league where I have Kyle Pitts. I'm going to make that switch if Jacoby Myers is out. Jacoby Myers has not practiced yet this week. Toe and knee issues for Jacoby Myers. So
yeah, I pulled Mayer from Stardom Cinema as a sit.
Yeah, I think you could make a case for him as a start anyway. I know, Jamie, you don't like the matchup, but if Myers is out, it makes it even better for him, we think.
Well, something else that changed it for me also, aside from just our conversation yesterday as well, is that the Titans are really good against tight ends, and he was great.
Yeah, he had the best game of it, I think, of any tight end against the Titans. Christian Watson has a chance to play this week. Darius Slayton missed practice again. Quentin Johnston, as we mentioned, he was limited, but now we're expecting him to play. CeeDee Lamb, good to go. I just
went look. Every other place is reporting he's practiced in full.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So why would every place do it, but the Chargers website doesn't?
But it was their official. Schefter's the one that tweeted. It was their official release.
Right.
Okay, it's probably, if their release says full, then it's probably full, but their website is limited. Listen, we're ranking them. We're expecting them.
I just wanted to double check. So Schefter's the one that sent out their thing, and then around the NFL, which is the NFL's news reporting service from NFL.com, they have it as practice in full. So
yeah, It's great. Why would the Chargers website not have it?
Okay, so let's put a little bow on this. Quentin Johnston is going to play, we think. We're ranking him that way. He's playing the Colts. I think they give up the third most fantasy points to wide receivers.
Yep.
And they may be getting Kenny Moore back, and also Charvarius Ward is still in the concussion protocol. So they've had injuries. They might be better than that. But Jamie, how are you ranking them, and where are you ranking the three wide receivers?
I have McConkey still first. Dropped him a few spots in the receiver ranking, so he was right around wide receiver 13. Now he's close to 15. Johnston not far after that, and then Keenan Allen I dropped a few spots, so he's now 25th.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask you about the 49ers wide receivers soon. I think they're very tricky because Pearsall missed practice. Jennings was limited. McLaurin and Deebo Samuel both missed practice. Deebo, I mean, he missed practice last week and he played, so I think we expect him. But we were told that McLaurin was, going to practice this week. It hasn't happened. Are you guys expecting him at this point?
No.
Not at this point.
All right. Tight ends, we're not expecting Njoku or Bowers. We are expecting Kittle. He is practicing. Jatavian Sanders could be back this week. And then offensive line, Landon Dickerson was limited for the Eagles. That's great news for them. Taylor Decker was limited for the Lions. That's great news for them. Austin Corbett practiced in full after missing the last 4 games for the Panthers. That's great news for them. On defense, Jalen.
Joe Alt.
What's that?
Joe Alt also practicing.
Oh, thank you. I forgot.
But was it in full or limited? Let's spend
see
2 minutes.
What the report says here. The report says Joe Alt, DNP on Wednesday, limited on Thursday.
All right, that'd be great if the Chargers could get their left tackle back. On defense, here's the big ones, I think. The Lions are beat up in the secondary, as we know. The Seahawks, you went and watched the Seahawks-Jaguars game. Their secondary was terrible. They were leaving guys wide open throughout the game. Well, they were missing 3 starters. All 3 of those guys could be back this week for Seattle against Houston. So that would be huge. I've mentioned the Colts thing. And the Eagles seem to be getting healthier as Quinion Mitchell practiced in full. Jalen Carter went from full to limited. And Brandon McManus, Green Bay's kicker, he could play this week. All right, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, it's 1 question for each game. And then we'll get into our 7 games for today's slate. We'll be right back.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Philadelphia's at Minnesota. Dave, are you trying to sit your Eagles this week if you could?
I'm definitely not sitting Saquon Barkley. I am definitely not sitting Dallas Goedert. I am not sitting Jalen Hurts unless I have a really good other option. And probably the same thing for the receivers, but I've lowered expectations for both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They are a number 2 and number 3 receiver, respectively.
I mean, the way you framed it, it's almost a little deceiving because, you have Hurts 9th.
Yeah, I got to have a better quarterback. So,
yeah,
for example, the quarterbacks in the Bucs Lions game, I would take them. The quarterbacks in the Commanders Cowboys game, I would take them. I like Drake May better. I even like Caleb Williams better against New Orleans. But that's it. Jalen Hurts comes in at 9.
Okay.
Sorry to be deceiving, Adam.
Well, but A.J. Brown is what, 20-something for you guys? He's 24th for Jamie, 22nd for Brown, or for Dave, 23rd for Heath.
Brown has him first.
Well, there is a Brown that's first, but it's St. Brown. But anywho, they're not the Eagles that we know and love, obviously. Jamie, Tampa Bay at Detroit. Is there anyone that you don't want to start in this game? Anyone that's usually started that you don't want to start?
Montgomery's on the cusp of, number 2 running back flex. So if you have another option, this just doesn't feel like without a touchdown, he's going to be very good. And the Tampa Bay run defense obviously is good when they're healthy up front. So don't love him, but for the most part, everybody else, yes.
Okay. Atlanta's at San Francisco. So this to me is the toughest question. Jamie, I'll throw it to you first, but how are we approaching the 49ers wide receivers this week? Because Kittle expected back. I wonder if the Kendrick Bourne thing is related to Mac Jones. Is he worse if it's Purdy? But Jamie, first word on that. How are you approaching the 49ers wide receivers against the Falcons?
Dropped Kendrick Bourne a few spots just with the return of Kittle. So started the week in the 23, 24-ish range. Now he's like 29, 30 right there, but still the best. And Jennings is more of a wide receiver 4 in the 40s just because he's so banged up, but probably going to play through it. And it's a very good defense. I mean, we got to give them credit. Like their pass defense has been solid across the board. So the quarterback concern, I don't know. It's not a slam dunk to me.
How many
He'll go
wide
off first if
receivers?
if you're including him.
I'm sorry, Jamie. How many wide receivers have notched 12 plus PPR points against the Falcons this season?
Yeah,
12.
Three.
Low number. 3. Jamie, do you have Jamie, is it higher or lower than 3?
Lower.
You're correct, sir. It is only 2. Emeka Egbuka, 23.6 points in week 1, and Deebo Samuel had over 20 in week 4 is when they played. And that's it. This has been a pretty darn good defense, and they've done this with A.J. Terrell missing a lot of games. So I'm not a big fan of either 49ers receiver in this matchup, but I do think it matters who the quarterback is. I think if it's Purdy, I feel like his connection with George Kittle might overshadow both wide receivers. And I know that he's got that relationship with Jawan Jennings. We've referenced all the targets that Jawan Jennings has gotten late last year, earlier this year. That's usually a Brock Purdy thing and not necessarily a Mac Jones thing. I have Jennings over Bourne. I don't love it. It's not something that I'm like mega confident in. The one thing I know for sure is that I don't feel great starting either 49ers receiver.
Okay. New Orleans is at Chicago. Rank the running backs and the wide receivers in this game. I thought this was an easy matchup for Alvin Kamara, but it's actually not. So we can get into that, but rank the running backs and wide receivers. Dave. I'm sorry. My bad. I thought this was an easy matchup for DeAndre Swift, but it's actually not.
You're confusing the running backs in my bet with Heath.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. How do we rank them?
I've got Odunze first. I've got Swift second as of now. I know. Did he pop up on the injury report?
He did, but it was a walkthrough, so I don't think it's anything. He went from full to limited.
Cool. If it's PPR, Olave's next, followed by Kamara. Shaheed's after that. I don't have DJ Moore ranked, but he'd probably settle in right about here.
Okay. Jamie, how do you rank the running backs and receivers?
Odunze, Olave, Swift, Kamara, Burden,
Shaheed. All right.
No, Shaheed.
It is cool.
Shaheed over Burden?
Slightly.
All right.
That's assuming DJ Moore's out.
Green Bay at Arizona. Can you trust a wide receiver in this game?
I'm starting Luther Burden in way too many leagues. Trust. Yeah, I'll trust Romeo Doubs. Targets have been there.
I think he's in the flex conversation. I think Matthew Golden's in the flex conversation. Cardinals defense isn't that great against the pass, is it? They've had so many injuries. They've allowed a lot. They've allowed 5 receivers to at least 16 PPR points this season.
So I brought this up to Heath on CBS Sports Network yesterday. Like, he keeps talking about that quarterbacks have somehow found a way to get a lot of volume against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And I kind of see it the reverse for this game. If there's no Marvin Harrison and the running back situation being what it is, and it's Jacoby Brissett, like this could be a very minimal pass attempt game for Jordan Love based on how the Packers have operated.
Absolutely. Okay, back to one question for each game. Let's go to Houston at Seattle. Are you starting anyone in this game other than Jackson Smith-Njigba and Nico Collins?
Both DSTs are in play based on how they performed and the offenses that they're facing in terms of how good their defenses are, if that makes sense. The quarterbacks know. The running backs know. There's some sleeper plays here. I do like Woody Marks quite a bit as a flex, but no must start.
I like Darnold. I do like Sam Darnold as a start. I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt, the way that he's been playing this year, the way that JSN has been playing this year, the way that this offense has been schemed, and the lack of effectiveness from the run game, I think will be a huge factor, because as good as the Texans are against the pass, they are even better against the run. And I think Seattle's going to have a hard time moving it. And I think you're going to need Darnold to throw the ball a decent amount if you're Seattle and you're trying to win, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, this just feels like I thought Heath nailed this on that show as well. Like this just feels like a very slow, low scoring game where Darnold may play well. I don't doubt that, but I don't think you're getting the fantasy production. I think we go back to what we saw from Darnold pre 2 weeks ago, where it's kind of living in that 18-point per game range. So I would set him if you can.
We talked a lot about that too. There were a lot of quarterbacks that we felt this week were in that range of, what did I call it? Like 17 to 21 fantasy points, where it's high floor, low ceiling. And I think Darnold has a ceiling a little bit higher than that, but his floor is still in that 17-point range. And
Jamie,
so that's why I've got him 10th.
You don't like Woody Marks ahead of Ken Walker, do you?
They're almost back to back.
Oh, okay.
That's PPR.
And finally, Washington at Dallas. How does the return
Wouldn't surprise me if Marks gets more touches.
I agree.
How does the return of CeeDee Lamb and potentially Terry McLaurin affect your rankings, Jamie?
Lamb goes ahead of Pickens, but not by much. I still think both guys have an opportunity here, not just this week, but moving forward. I mean, obviously Vegas is telling us this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think what Dak is doing and how much he's going to continue to throw the ball is going to allow both receivers to play at a very high level. So for McLaurin, it will lower the upside of Deebo Samuel, but I still would prefer Samuel, at least in the short term. I know both guys would be banged up, but in the case of Deebo, I think based on what he's done so far and how they'll use him in some different ways, it will still allow him to be better than McLaurin.
Plus, Deebo's taking on the Cowboys, and their defense has been brutal. So I think that Deebo Samuel has a chance at a huge game, especially if McLaurin doesn't play. If McLaurin plays, that could change a little bit. And I feel the same way about Pickens. He's a number 2 receiver. Feel good about starting him.
And Ferguson is still going to be a must start. I mean, I think the way I think we're all going to approach it is we're going to treat all of the guys like they're must starts on the Cowboys, even though Lamb is coming back. If we see George Pickens have his target share be as low as it was the first 2 weeks of the season, 12% and 17%, we'll adjust next week. But right now he's just played so well. This could be a total shootout. So just start your Cowboys. All right, Eagles are at Minnesota. Here we go. Stat of the game. Jalen Hurts is averaging the same amount of fantasy points per game as Drake May in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues and more than May in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues. So I even said that on Twitter, and I asked, who do you think is having a better fantasy season? And we can get the poll results here because they're even in 6-point, and Hurts has been better in 4-point, and 73% said Drake May is having a better season than Jalen Hurts. It's just perception. Hurts just hasn't been as bad as it seems. He scores at least 22 points pretty much every week. All right. With that said, he is not as high as he usually is. We talked about that 5 minutes ago in one question for each game. Dave said some of the guys he'd rank ahead of him, Goff and Baker, Caleb Williams. So he's about 8th in the rankings, Jalen Hurts. Barkley, Jamie, you actually have him, I think, 13th. Dave, you have him 6th. So 12th. All right. I mean, we're splitting hairs here, but are there a few guys maybe that you'd highlight that you'd start over him?
Quinshon Judkins, Javonte Williams, for now Rico Dowdle, until the rankings are updated with Chuba Hubbard in it. So there is a world where you could be sitting Saquon Barkley for guys that have either A, been better than him over the course of the season or recently, or have the chance to be better than him this week. Like, to me, Judkins against the Dolphins as opposed to Saquon against the Vikings, while the Vikings' run defense, not as great as probably you would think, is still a big opportunity for him. So I do think you're starting Barkley in 99% of the scenarios. And even if you have some of these guys, you're like, I'm not saying Saquon Barkley. Why can't I do that? But I do think there's other players in some better spots just based on rankings.
I feel like this is a Saquon week because it hasn't been a Saquon week either of the past 2 games for Philadelphia. I think he has 18 total carries in his last 2 games. And this is the same Minnesota defense that allowed Kenneth Gainwell to look like Saquon Barkley. So if it's that type of a situation, I feel like Philadelphia, with their offensive line, getting Landon Dickerson back, I think that will help quite a bit. I wish Jordan Mailata was playing a little bit better, but that's more of a pass pro thing than anything else. I do think that Saquon gets a lot of work, finds the end zone, maybe has 100 total yards on top of it. Obvious guy that you're starting anyway, but maybe raise the expectations, even with Blake Cashman coming back from Minnesota.
All right. Philadelphia wide receivers. How would you rank Jordan Mason, Jordan Addison, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith? So we'll look at all the flexes. Obviously, we're starting Justin Jefferson. He's a stud. But The two Eagles wide receivers, Jordan Mason and Jordan Addison. Dave, how would you rank those guys?
I've got Brown first. This is in full PPR. I've got Addison second, Mason third, and then that would mean Devontae Smith is fourth.
Okay, so you said Brown, Addison, Mason, Devontae Smith.
Yes.
Jamie, how about you?
Mason, skip a lot. Brown, Addison, and then skip a lot, and then Smith.
Expand on that. Why is Mason clearly ahead of A.J. Brown for you?
Oh, I mean, Mason's been solid. The fact that he's got 3 catches each of his last 2 games, I think is very encouraging, but scored a touchdown against Cleveland. That's not easy to do. We saw what he's able to accomplish against the Bengals, which is the fun part about what he's been able to do. But look at the running backs and what they've been able to accomplish against the Eagles with Jalen Carter. Without Jalen Carter, really hasn't made much of a difference from the overall production, but clearly case by case, it matters. I just think the way that he's running the ball, Dave talked about this yesterday in regards to the passing game. The offensive line is getting healthy for Minnesota coming off their bye week as well. So there's not anybody to threaten him for, I think, touches. Maybe Xavier Scott gets a couple if he's healthy. But just what Mason's been able to accomplish so far, I think he's going to be the guy that's the catalyst of this offense.
I'd like to look up how this Eagles run defense is with and without Jalen Carter.
I've got it, Dave.
Oh, how
So-
convenient.
Instead of the plays where he's on the field, I looked at the 4 games that he has played, and they allow for the I don't have with the 2 games without him, but for the season, they allow 4.36 yards per carry to running backs. Specifically in the 4 games with Jalen Carter, they allow 4.1 yards per carry to running backs.
Okay.
So it's probably about a 3.5 yard per carry difference, which is not nothing, but 4.1 yards per carry to running backs is not a defense that I shy away from necessarily in terms of the matchup. But they're better with him. They've been better with him, no doubt. All right. So do you guys have A.J. Brown like just inside your top 24, basically. We'll just leave it at that. We talked about that earlier. I'll throw out some other names because you did not agree on Jordan Mason. How about Kamani Vidal or A.J. Brown?
I have Brown higher.
Jamie says Vidal. How about Bill or A.J. Brown?
Bill.
I would start Bill over Barkley.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Jamison Williams or A.J. Brown?
JMO.
AJ.
All right. It's funny because you guys don't have A.J. Brown ranked that dissimilarly, but I guess I'm asking you about other players that you are far apart on. Devontae Smith, I think we pretty much know what he is. He's only had 2 good games all year. Dallas Goedert, man. Dallas Goedert has 7 or more targets in 4 games. He had 7 or more targets 3 times last year. A.J. Brown missed 2 of those 3 games. So it just basically never happens, and now it's happening a lot, and it's a huge storyline because he's been one of the most efficient tight ends in the NFL in his career, and he's proving it finally with the targets. I'm just wondering why you don't have him ranked higher, Jamie. You have him 9th, I think. Goddard.
I shuffled a few things around, so he's a little bit higher, but he's got 4 touchdowns or 4 games in a row with a touchdown, 5 touchdowns over that span. He's been, like you said, efficient and now used more. So the coordinator change is something that's benefited him to a very big way, in a very big way. And if they're going, Dave brought this up about Barkley. This should be a Barkley week. Well, what did we see last week? Started out like a Barkley week. First drive looked like it was going to be a Barkley week, and then they just forget about Saquon Barkley for whatever reason. And that's been a benefit to Dallas Goedert, I think, the most, because A.J. Brown's targets have been very consistent since week 1. When Goddard's getting these opportunities, he's a must-start guy.
It's easier for Hurts to throw to Goddard than it is for him to throw to Brown and Smith because he works much closer to the line of scrimmage, obviously. Not saying that Goddard is, only getting passes of like 3 and 5 yards. He's getting some downfield shots too. But I almost feel like Hurts might be the most confident throwing to Goddard compared to Brown and Smith at this point.
Well, I think the problem with Goddard is that he has a game with 2 targets. He has a game with 4 targets. It could always go that way with him. He has 1 game with more than 44 yards. But he has 4 targets from the 5-yard line or closer, which is as many as he had in the previous 4 seasons combined.
Wow.
It's wild. Minnesota's
It's
also
a smart
20.
decision. It's a smart, if your quarterback is not doing well throwing the ball 10 plus yards downfield, find somebody who can do good work in closer range. And that's what Goddard's done.
All right, let's finish up on this game. Carson Wentz is outside the top 20. We heard Jordan Mason, good case there from Jamie. Dave's a little bit lower on Mason, but he's a number 2 running back. Justin Jefferson start. Dave, give me your quick thoughts on Addison. You're the high guy on Addison. You have him 23rd. And Hawkinson, we have as a sit. You're actually the high guy on him. You have him 15th, and he's a sit. But just wrap up here with those two guys.
He's played 1 3/4 games. In his first game back, he had 8 targets. In the game he didn't play in the first quarter, he had 6 targets. He scored at least 10 non-PPR points in each game. He's a very good number 2 receiver. We know, I think Philadelphia is going to have Quinyon Mitchell back. When the week started, I wasn't sure if he was going to play, but I still think Mitchell's going to be on Justin Jefferson. I don't think that makes a difference against Justin Jefferson, but it does mean that it's going to be those other cornerbacks that the Eagles have that'll be on Jordan Addison, and Addison can beat them. So that's a receiver that I kind of like the upside for.
Okay. And Hawkinson, we just can't trust. Well, would you guys start a DST in this game?
I have Philly as a top 12 DST, but it's based on Carter playing, and they probably should be lowered if that offensive line is looking good. They're a low-end starting DST for me. Eagles
low end, Vikings slightly behind them. I just will say one thing about Addison. There's only been one number 2 receiver that has done well against them, and they faced a couple of good ones. George Pickens, for example, being one of them. But Adams is the only good number 2 receiver to perform well against this team. Number 1 receivers have crushed them.
Yeah, he like makes his week on these big plays or touchdown every week, and it's tough to count on that. But he's done it basically for his entire career. That's
a credit to Kevin O'Connell getting him open. It's credit to the quarterbacks, whoever it's been during that time to find him. You go back to the first game that he played against the Steelers, he was wide open on the 81-yard reception. So he's a good player. I mean, it's just a matter of can he have success against this defense, which most number 2 receivers have not.
All right, rapid fire questions: Mason or Pittman?
Michael Pittman. Mason and non-PPR.
Mason and both.
Goddard or Tyler Warren?
Tyler Warren.
Still Tyler, but it's close.
Pick 2: Teteroa, McMillan, Mason, Ken Walker.
Not Ken Walker.
Walker.
Coker or Addison?
Addison.
Addison.
Addison or McLaurin, if McLaurin plays?
I'll take McLaurin.
McLaurin's playing Dallas. I think it has to be Terry McLaurin.
He's probably not playing at this point, but yeah, if he plays.
If he were to play in an imaginary world where he is available.
All right, we're going to take one more break. Tampa Bay and Detroit when we come back.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
All right, Tampa Bay's at Detroit. And who's your favorite quarterback in this game?
Goff.
I have Mayfield 1 spot higher.
We're both, top 6?
Yep.
Top 6.
Start them both. Who's your favorite running back in this game?
Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
I know, but he's RB10 per game. He's a little disappointing this year. Rashad White has scored 17 or more fantasy points in each of the last 2 games, but only one running back all year has scored more than 16 PPR fantasy points against the Detroit Lions. And they're getting Aleem McNeil back. So within this great environment, there is a tough matchup there.
It is. Are you going to ask us our favorite receiver in this game?
Well, I was thinking about this. Mike Evans, I don't know if people consider him a buy low, but he's had such a bad start to this season, right? It's obviously you can make the case, he's coming back. There's no Ibuka, there's no Godwin. Sure. But people might look at the way he started and go, oh, he's old. Well, he's gotten AJ Terrell, Derek Stingley, and Sauce Gardner in 3 games. It couldn't have been worse, basically, for Mike Evans. There's a possibility that he's just going to be amazing going forward, right?
Well, hold on. Now he's got Rock Yassin and Amik Robertson. And I got to go back and look at my notes to see who the slot corner is. But he's not going to line up in the slot. It doesn't matter. So, yes, to your point, very different type of matchup for Mike Evans without Ibuka and Godwin on the field.
He could be better than St. Brown. All right, but what are the tough calls in this game? Montgomery's a tough call. J-Mo's a tough call. Who do you like better, J-Mo or Montgomery?
J-Mo.
J-Mo's got way more upside.
He does, but he also has been before last week, one of the worst fantasy players of the year,
His track record at home, I think you buy into that. He's had one good home game, one bad home game, one of the bad ones. The bad one was against the Browns. I think you just hope that what we saw last week where he finally was getting those opportunities that we thought were going to happen based on all the offseason talk. This is the scenario you love for him. Big total, home game, struggling secondary. Like, he should go off.
The Bucs secondary, I believe, is still pretty beat up.
Is it? Okay. Well, that's good. We like that.
I can double check the injury report on that.
Rachaad White or Saquon Barkley? LOL, Dave.
Oh, gosh. When you say things like that and then go LOL, like, I wonder if you're putting it into the universe that Rachaad White ends up with a better stat line.
No, I was LOLing the injury report thing. I thought this was a callback to the Chargers joke, but then I realized
that's what I'm doing.
Okay. yeah. I was LOLing. Rachaad White or Barkley? What do you think?
It's Barkley.
Yeah, it's Barkley.
It doesn't have to be Barkley. Rachaad White.
Okay.
The starting running back for the Bucs is like a guaranteed stud. Yeah, but all right.
Well, that's why we have Rachaad White ranked where we have him. Like in
You're not far behind. I mean, I have one at 12 and one at 14, so I'm not, totally disagreeing with you, but I still Barkley.
And I've got a bigger gap. I've got Barkley at 6 and Rachaad White at 16. White should probably be a little higher. The cornerbacks for Tampa, they are getting healthy. Zion McCollum had a full practice, according to the Bucs official website. Benjamin Morrison, the rookie corner, full practice. Jamel Dean played last week. Christian Izien played last week. So they're going to miss Winfield at safety. But otherwise, this is going to be as close to full strength as the Bucs secondary has been in a while.
Okay. How about the Bucs passing game? Where do you have, Jamie, where do you have the wide receivers ranked?
Evans is right around 13, 14, so high-end number 2 receiver. Shepard is right around 40th, just with the hope that he gets the bump. And then the other 2 guys are dart throws outside the top 48, but close to 50, with Tez Johnson ahead of Cameron Johnson.
And Dave, how do you see it? And you can throw Cade Otton in there as well.
I've got Mike Evans as the top receiver. He's a low-end number 2 receiver as of now because it's the first game back. And because I think he's not going to work downfield as much. I like Tez Johnson. I love the speed that he has. I like that he had an 84% route rate last week. That was about double what Cameron Johnson has. And again,
it's the game of the week. Yeah. The Bucs at the Lions. It's a Monday night shootout, baby. And it's the game of the week. Hey. The music wasn't loud enough. I'm sorry. I'm going to do it again. Ready?
Let's go. Wait. Stop.
Yeah.
I really like Tez Johnson because he had an 84% route rate.
Yeah, all right, Dave. Well, so who are some wide receivers that you might start a second Bucs wide receiver over, a Tez Johnson or a Sterling Shepard? Maybe a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson or Romeo Doubs or Rashid.
No, not those guys, but but Hollywood.
Close to Shepard and Jacoby Myers.
Yeah.
But Trey Tucker would be ahead of these guys.
Yeah,
right?
Trey Tucker's ahead. It's really a bunch of like mediocre guys that you're not expecting like much from. I've got Tez Johnson, for example, ahead of Cooper Kupp. Kupp is coming off of a pretty good game. It's a tough matchup against Houston. I'd rather try and catch lightning with Tez.
All right. So your favorite number 2 Bucs receiver is Tez Johnson, and Jamie's is Shepard, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just feel like someone's going to have a big game. Tez Johnson only needs one play to make that happen. Cade Otton's another guy. Cade Otton or Mason Taylor this week?
Taylor.
Cade Otton or sorry, Evan Ingram.
Ingram over Otton for me.
I'll take Otton over Ingram.
Cade Otton or Hunter.
That's like the same type of guy. You're hoping for the target increase that we've seen from Ingram the last 3 weeks, which has been 6, 6, and 7, so 6, 7. And then for Otton, you're hoping for a big boost. But as you've noted time and time again, most of the boost has come when it's been somebody other than Evans missing. When Evans has been missing is when Otton's had the bump. When Evans has been there, it hasn't been the same.
All right, let's read some questions here. Ready? Montgomery or Walker? Montgomery or Walker?
Montgomery.
Agreed.
Montgomery or Swift?
Swift.
Swift as of now.
Would you start Rashad White over Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, or Jalen Waddle?
No, stick with the receivers, but they're all great.
I agree.
Okay. Jamison Williams or Quentin Johnston, PPR?
Q.
Quentin Johnson.
Dak or Baker?
Dak.
JMO or ETN?
JMO.
I'll take ETN.
JMO or Odunze?
Odunze.
Rome.
Quentin Johnston or Mike Evans?
Q.
Evans. If the theory of they're both coming off of injuries, I'll take the guy with the better matchup.
Pick 2, Evans,
They both have a
Sutton,
good
Olave.
I'd sit Olave.
I would sit Olave as well.
Okay. All right, that's it for that game. Sit the DSTs. Next up, we've got, what do we got? I've got to scroll. Atlanta, San Francisco. Another candidate for game of the week, but I can't do it. So let's put up this graphic here and take a look at these two teams on paper. You've got arguably the best passing offense in the NFL, or at least most prolific one, against the best pass defense in the NFL. The 49ers, second most pass attempts per game in football. The Falcons, they see the fewest pass attempts per game. So quarterbacks are throwing 26 times per game against Atlanta. The Niners, they throw 40 times per game. The Falcons average 306.3 gross passing yards per game. That is number 1 in the NFL. Teams are averaging 156.4 passing yards per game against the Falcons. That's fewest in the NFL. So it's like, what wins here? Dave, how do you see this? You've got this high-powered passing offense that throws a ton against the Falcons, where no quarterback has thrown for more than 180 yards against Atlanta.
I think you're going to see the 49ers try to do what they've always done, or this year what they've always done, and that's work hard to try and figure out a way for Christian McCaffrey to have a decent rushing average, but ultimately throw the ball all over the place.
Okay.
It's worth noting that's against Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, and Josh Allen.
Baker Mayfield averaged 5.2 yards per attempt. That's awful. His lowest of the year. Josh Allen averaged 6.9 yards per attempt against the Falcons. His second lowest of the year. I think
it wasn't Jaden Daniels. It was Marcus Mariota.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. I think the game against the Bills, when they got Terrell back and they're putting pressure on Allen, I said, okay, I think this defense is pretty legit.
Yeah.
You never know. The 49ers can make any good. Look what the 49ers did to the Rams defense. They're legit. And then that Thursday night game with Mac Jones was no problem for them. So, are we optimistic about the 49ers this week?
I think in the case of Mac Jones, you saw the highs and the lows of it last week, right? He threw for 347 yards, but no touchdowns and 2 picks. So as our colleague Pete Prisco likes to say time and time again with these backup quarterbacks, you are who you are. And sometimes that just shows itself. And that kind of what happened to Mac Jones potentially last week.
Has he not watched Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold?
Fair. But, there's a reason why a guy bounces around the league and sometimes doesn't get those chances to have the resurrection. In any event, he struggled. So I think in the case of because it's easy to find, you don't have to start Mac Jones. He's at best, I think, for most people, a super flex or 2 QB option. You're starting McCaffrey. If Kittle comes back, I think you're starting him no matter what, just because of the upside and the potential. It comes down to what you think of the receivers. So you have 2 straight games of Kendrick Bourne being a stud, 142 yards in each of those games. To Dave's point, is that a Mac Jones thing? Is that a Brock Purdy thing? Will he favor Juwan Jennings more so than he would Kendrick Bourne? I can't trust Juwan Jennings at this point because of the injuries. I think he's playing because of his contract and what the incentives are to get on the field. I think in most cases he'd probably be sitting, 5 broken ribs, bad ankles. Like he's just beat up. As you said, Adam, he's the operation game. So it's just for me too hard to trust. I will trust the player who's looked the way that he has the last 2 weeks in terms of Kendrick Bourne. At this point, we don't expect Ricky Pearsall. So I think you just kind of lower expectations for Bourne based on what we saw. And if the quarterback change is there, to me, Jennings is an outright sit.
Kendrick Bourne or Jamison Williams?
JMO.
I'll go JMO.
Kendrick Bourne or Romeo Dobbs?
Dobbs,
but that's close.
Kendrick Bourne or Matthew Golden?
Bourne.
Golden. I'm low on Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne or Darnell Mooney?
Is Mooney playing?
Yeah, I think he's playing.
What is he on the injury report?
He's been limited all week, but
he's been
I think that's
limited
what he
for
was
a
last
month
week.
and doesn't really play. Right.
I mean, I cannot start Darnell Mooney, who's had a crap season, over a
Oh,
guy.
I would never start Mooney over.
I don't think you can either.
No.
But not for nothing. With Jawan Jennings, he had an 80% route rate, nearly an 80% route rate last week. And he's never been a fast receiver, but he still had quickness. Like, he was still able to move and find ways to get open. He just wasn't getting a lot of targets. I don't know if that was by design and they made him a decoy because of all the injuries. I don't know if the extra week of practice has helped him. I'm just kind of chancing it on Purdy's back. Purdy's leaned on him, and he'll have some opportunities with Purdy that he might not have with Mac Jones.
Yeah, but Purdy's not necessarily back, so we got to start with that. And if
Purdy's back, he's not healthy.
If Purdy is back, is he a top 15 quarterback for you?
He'd be in that range, maybe a little bit below.
Maybe in that Sam Darnold potential starter range at best.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he is almost every week anyway.
Penix is really interesting because he was playing pretty damn well until Jake Matthews got hurt last week. Matthews is going to play this week, right? I think he's good to go. But you guys have him as a sit, Michael Penix. He just never runs. Start Bijan, start London, starter sit Kyle Pitts, and we'll finish there.
Low end starter. I want to hope that what happened last week is not the norm, because with Mooney, without Mooney, that's going to sway some things as well. But the two games that he had played great were with Mooney not on the field. And then last week, it was just so concentrated to the two players. So right now I have London as my number one receiver for the week if Mooney's out.
I've got more injury report drama for you guys.
Hey,
Jake
what?
Matthews did not practice on Wednesday. On Thursday's report, there is no designation. It's just blank, but not Arthur Blank. And then it's limited.
Well, anytime somebody's on the injury report, they keep them on the report the entire week.
Right.
So
but why is there no, like, there's not even the little line that they have when a player isn't there Wednesday and then they pop up on the injury report on Thursday. Like, they have literally nothing there. So I might have to go and look for a beat reporter, because I do think having Jake Matthews there, not there, I think that matters considerably, even though the 49ers pass rush hasn't been the same since Bosa went down.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of the Darnell Mooney effect, just target per route run rate, Kyle Pitts not really affected so far this year. Drake London has been the one who's been super affected by it. Not that we're going to sit London, but when he has struggled, it's really been when Mooney has played, and also Penix has struggled in those games, oddly enough.
Jake Matthews did not practice yesterday.
Right. I just found it.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Literally.
All right, so we got to wrap this
Darnell
up.
Mooney limited. And it's funny, on the Falcons report, they say Quentin Johnson practicing full too.
Falcons DST is 13th for Jamie, 18th for Dave, and 12th for Heath. They are very good. And the Niners have been a little turnover prone. New Orleans is at Chicago. Stat of the game. All right, is this a good matchup for DeAndre Swift? Well, first of all, he had 7.7 yards per carry last week. But in his tenure with Chicago, which is almost a year and a half now, DeAndre Swift has averaged more than 4 yards per carry in back-to-back games only once. So he does tend to fool us. The Saints, meanwhile, I didn't realize that there's pretty good run defense so far. Mm-hmm. They allow 3.74 yards per carry to running backs. They're 12th best against running backs in fantasy. I look at them and I see a team that might be like the Giants, where they're kind of tough at home and awful on the road. And this is only going to be their third road game, so we'll see. But if this game were at home, I would be thinking maybe an upset here, but it's in Chicago. But I don't know. Like, it's Swift coming off a great game in an unexpected situation last week, because the Commanders have a great run defense. Jamie, starter sit DeAndre Swift.
Must start running back. Based on what he has looked like the last 3 games, it's hard to get past his role in Ben Johnson's offense, what the expectations are for this game in terms of a scoring perspective for Chicago. You mentioned the Saints on the road. I think also, yes, their yards per carry, not great. Prior to last week, every running back against them has scored. A running back in every game against them had scored at least 14.4 PPR points. That's a very good number 2 running back if that number hits. I'd be very surprised if Swift, healthy, gets his usual workload, doesn't come close to that number. So I think he's got top 15 upside.
I love how the offensive line played for Chicago last week. It's the first time in like 3 years that they looked as good as they did. And they were so smart on how they deployed Swift against Washington. I like him as long as he's healthy and he's out there. I think you've got to view him as a top 15 fantasy running back. There's another wrinkle that I want to bring up. And this is a trend that I've tracked over the years, and it hits a lot of the time. Like, I don't have the exact percentage, but it's a lot. Who's the defensive coordinator for the Bears?
Yep.
No, his name is not Yep. It's Dennis Allen. And he is the former head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And usually when the former defensive coordinator or head coach, whatever, comes back to take on his former team, or in this case is at home taking on his former team, you usually see a big edge for the team that he's currently on. Now, there was an example earlier this year when Matt Eberflus played against Chicago, and Eberflus just, I don't know how many good players he has or if his scheme is any good, but he got absolutely drubbed. This isn't going to be that case. I think you're going to see Chicago's offense pop this week because they're taking on the Saints, and Dennis Allen knows what he's dealing with there.
All right. We like Caleb. He's top 8. He's 4th for Heath, closer to 7th for Jamie and Dave. The Saints give up the 4th most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Every quarterback has scored at least 19.6 fantasy points against the Saints in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. Jamie just said DeAndre Swift is a must start. Romo Dunze is a must start. DJ Moore. So DJ Moore has been so disappointing, and I understand people aren't going to start him. If he's out, do you think Luther Burden will score more fantasy points than what DJ Moore usually scores, which is around 9?
Yes. I think what we saw last week is similar. You hope to see more from rookie wide receivers after buys. And we saw it with Matthew Golden. We saw it with Burden. Now, Moore got hurt in the middle of that game, I think it was, and still played. So it wasn't like he left the field. And I know it was a crappy game for their passing attack because Swift was so good in the Washington defense. He did have their most receptions and was second in receiving yards. It was terrible across the board for them entirely, as DeAndre Swift was their leading receiver from a yardage standpoint. So I do think that based on the matchup, there's an opportunity here for Luther Burden to be in that number 3 receiver range if DJ Moore is out, because you expect a bump in playing time.
The bad news is that it was a 39% route rate for Burden last week. The good news is that was his season high. So maybe they're building on this and the breakout is coming.
All right, let's talk about some other players in this game. Jamie, I'm going to give you Kamara. Why aren't you guys a little higher on Kamara? He's got 5 to 6 targets in 4 of his last 5 games. The Bears are a good matchup, and you guys have him just inside the top 24.
He's allergic to the end zone at this point. They're giving still Kendre Miller work. You now have Taysom Hill as a factor, taking carries as well. I think just the body of work for Kamara is not exactly great. So I wouldn't call him a sit. He's not a must start. So I think he's just a low end number 2 running back, which is probably what he'll be most of the season.
His snap share has declined basically over the entire season, but really the last 2 weeks, week 5, 53%, week 6, 64%. This coincides with not one thing, but 2 things. Taysom Hill's back, and Taysom Hill got up to like 24% snap share last week. And Kendre Miller is starting to see an uptick in playing time as well. And Jamie said it, the body of work for Alvin Kamara, it's hard to be excited or optimistic. 1 game this year with 14 plus PPR points.
Okay. And
he spoke at length yesterday about why he wants to stay in New Orleans. So I would say it'd be a big surprise if he's traded unless there is a overwhelming offer.
Did he suggest that he'll retire if he's traded?
I did not see but that might have been
something about like going to get a drink if he's traded.
Oh, well, I don't know if that's retiring. You can do that when you're active. Okay. So anyway, Chris Olave, please talk to me about Chris Olave. Heath loves Chris Olave. Does anyone love Olave this week against the Bears, who allow the 8th most fantasy points to wide receivers?
Great number 2 receiver for this week. 21 targets in his last 2 games. Starting to make some more plays down the field. Finally scored a touchdown 3 games ago. Hopefully we can see a little bit more end zone work for him as well. So let's keep it going.
He has the 4th most end zone targets in the NFL. He's tied with 6 end zone targets, but Olave has only scored 1. Rashid Shaheed, he's usually around 9 PPR fantasy points unless he makes a big play or scores a touchdown, gets 5 targets a game. I don't think we're going to start any of the Saints tight ends, but if we did, maybe it's Taysom Hill and you're just hoping for a touchdown, but he does not have a single target in 2 games. So if catches count, you better hope Taysom Hill scores a touchdown. And then we're not starting Loveland or Kmet, are we?
No.
You can stash Loveland still, but if you have the option to move off of him and get Burden, for example, I would do that.
All right. Some questions here. Jordan Mason or DeAndre Swift?
Swift.
I'd go Swift, but it's close.
Caleb Williams or Bo Nix?
Caleb, but it's not close.
Loveland or Juwan Johnson?
Tyler Higbee.
I feel like you can do better than Tyler Higbee off the waiver wire, but I'm going in the same direction you are. Find somebody off waivers.
Half PPR if there's no DJ Moore. Start 2. Luther Burden, Tedero McMillan, Jerry Jeudy, Wan'Dale Robinson.
Tet and Robinson.
I agree.
I think if there's no more, I think I'd take a chance on Burden in half PPR over, or no, I'd go with Jeudy. But
you'd have some faith in Burden then.
Yes.
So faith if no more. Got it.
Is that
Well done.
Vidal or Swift?
Swift.
It's Swift.
All right. Next game.
It's it. What is it? Oh, I've got the quote from Kamara. He said if the GM comes downstairs and essentially tells him that he's traded, quote, I'm going to go drink a pina colada somewhere.
Oh.
I don't know if that means he's going to his local Chili's and ordering up a pina colada and then moving to his new team.
I mean, it might be a favorite place in New Orleans if he's leaving.
Does he then go and get a pina colada every week at his favorite place?
You could definitely get a pina colada in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Well, I mean, you go there to have a hurricane first and foremost.
Oh,
At O'Brien's.
Speaking of which, we got a big game coming up. We got to finish this show before the game starts tonight. 5 minutes per game. Green Bay at Arizona.
I mean, you guys aren't losing. What are you talking about?
It could be
upset alert. Upset alert for
You're
sure.
not losing until the playoffs, if at all.
All right, upset alert. Anyway, Green Bay at Arizona.
I'm already hating when that happens.
Every quarterback that's faced Arizona has thrown 36 or more passes. Oh, and
somewhere.
No, wait. Every quarterback to face Green Bay has thrown 36 or more passes. Green Bay and Arizona see the first and second most pass attempts in the NFL. How about that?
I love when you read your notes as if you're reading it for the first time and it's a big surprise to you. Like, oh!
No, I knew Arizona sees. I forgot that Green Bay also. Pass attempts are great for fantasy. They are what we want. The pass attempts rule. So you have the two teams that see the most pass attempts in the NFL per game going up head to head here. All right. Who do you like better if they both play? Jordan Love or Kyler Murray?
Love.
Okay. Do you like Jordan Love this week?
Yes.
I like Love. I don't love Love, but I love Love.
All right. He hasn't really been that great. Sam Darnold or Jordan Love?
I have Darnold one spot ahead of Love.
Yeah, take the matchup with Love.
Chicago or, Caleb Williams or Jordan Love?
Williams.
Team QB. Jordan Love or Justin Fields?
Love.
Fields for me.
All right. Start Josh Jacobs. Dobbs is the best receiver. Is he in your top 30 for Green Bay?
He is not.
Right in that range.
Yes, close, but not there.
And they got to get Matthew Golden more involved. This guy is a lightning strike. He is super explosive. They gave him a short area throw, and he made a move, turned it upfield for a big gain last week.
That has to be more.
Yes.
And he scored double-digit fantasy points in 3 straight games, but it's been Cleveland and then Dallas and Cincinnati. They've had a favorable schedule the last 2 weeks.
And I like the 2 rush attempts too.
Right, yeah, just give this man
he's doing a lot of Jaden Reed stuff.
Romeo Dobbs, though, he has 5 of Green Bay's 11 end zone targets. That's terrific. And he has 17 targets in his last 2 games. Is there a wide receiver that you'd start other than Marvin Harrison Jr. for Arizona?
No. I mean, when you're choosing between Zay Jones and Michael Wilson, you just hope that it's a lot of Trey McBride.
I think it comes down to who the quarterback is. If it's Jacoby Brissett, number 1, that's great for Trey McBride. We saw that last week. And number 2, I almost feel like you've got a better chance of getting something out of the receivers with Brissett than you do with Kyler Murray at this point. Like, he played from the pocket much better, threw a bunch of accurate throws. We know that Kyler, A, doesn't always have good accuracy downfield. B, doesn't always make good decisions with the football. And C, will sometimes run when he's not sure who to throw to when he's looking downfield. So I'm starting Zay Jones potentially in our dynasty league because I'm just absolutely massacred at wide receiver. That's a 3 receiver, 2 flex league. And I don't like it. I'm hoping he plays, and I'm hoping he gives me like the 12 PPR points that he had last week. And I'm hoping that Brissett's the quarterback that does it. In fact, if it is Kyler Murray and not Brissett, I will probably find a way to sit Zay Jones if Jones is even active.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see, just bigger picture, like which of these injury replacement wide receivers, one or two of them are going to win some leagues for people. So the Tampa Bay guys, Shepard, one of the two, Tez Johnson or Cameron Johnson, a Zay Jones, a Michael Wilson, a Josh Reynolds. There's going to be somebody who steps up into one of these situations and is like, oh, okay, the Rams situation, Tutu Atwell or Jordan Whittington. Like, there's so many opportunities here to stream. Luther Burden still, he's available in so many leagues. Like,
yeah, well,
it's a
just
wonderful
came
call.
through breaking news. Garrett Wilson's been ruled out. Not that it's a surprise, but Josh Reynolds enters this chat. And you know what we should do, Jamie? I'd say on the mailbag, let's devote a few minutes to that. I need a wide receiver this week. Let's talk about the guys that could really step up. But in this game, you're not super optimistic about Michael Wilson or Zay Jones. McBride is going to get a ton of targets. I'm optimistic about Tucker Kraft this week. This is a great matchup.
Yep.
I could go through it, but it'll be a waste of time. But Arizona, they give up the 6th most fantasy points to tight ends, and you get guys like Juwan Johnson, Jatavian Sanders, AJ Barner having big games against Arizona. So we like Kraft.
Yeah, he's my favorite Packers pass catcher by far.
Would you start Harold Fannin or Kraft?
Kraft.
Okay.
I'd go Fannin in full PPR.
Which Arizona running back do you prefer, and do you want to start either of them?
Don't really want to start either one of them, but it would be Bam Knight. Oh, no, I think I actually have Carter overnight now because of projected game script. I think if the Cardinals are trailing, I think Carter's the better running back for them, assuming DeMercado's out to catch more passes. Yeah, I have Carter the highest, but he's in that number 3 range. You're hoping for 10 PPR points max.
Last question here. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is out, would you start either Zay Jones, who hasn't practiced, or Michael Wilson over Bam Knight or Michael Carter?
Yes. There's so little upside with the running backs.
I guess. I thought you were going to ask about the Bucs receivers versus the Bucs replacement receivers versus the Cardinals replacement receivers. I'd much rather go with the Bucs replacement receivers.
I don't know. I like if Zay Jones and Marvin Harrison Jr. are both out. You have Dortch too. We should throw that name in there. I mean, it's a big opportunity, but I see what you're saying.
I would start Shepard over those guys, but I would start Wilson over the 2 Johnson guys.
Yeah, I would
in this scenario of Harrison and Jones being out. All right, Houston's at
We have a
Seattle.
whole other show to talk about that.
Yes, exactly. Mailbag. Houston's at Seattle. We'll take a look at Houston's defense. No team has scored more than 20 points against Houston. That's the Rams, the Bucs, the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. So it's a mixed schedule, but the Rams, Bucs, Jaguars not scoring more than 20 points. That's impressive. No doubt they have a good defense. Did I mention the Green Bay DST in the previous game? Sorry if I missed it.
They've been the Packers DST. They've been terrible, but you're still starting them.
Yeah. Okay. So Texans at Seahawks, the Seattle defense, their secondary is going to be, I think, in much better shape this week.
Agreed.
So starters sit CJ Stroud real quick here. Dave.
I started the week kind of liking Stroud, but as the Seattle secondary got healthy, I had to move him down. And before the game last night, I moved Rodgers up ahead of him. I still have Trevor Lawrence now ahead of him. So I'm definitely nervous about CJ Stroud in a tough matchup, tough environment coming out of the bye on the road, just not being able to be as good as what we saw over the prior 2 weeks.
So Stroud has changed something in the prior 2 weeks. He has gotten the ball out of his hands much quicker. He is spreading the ball around. It has not been a good thing for Nico Collins. You are not getting the targets, but they have been in uncompetitive games.
I was going to say, the thing that's changed is he played the Titans and the Ravens.
That's true, but it's the style. I think they recognize, their offensive line is not great, so he's not sitting in the pocket holding the ball. He's getting the ball out quickly. We'll see what it looks like this week. I hope this is a competitive game. And anyway, so that's just something to keep in mind.
Oh, it's going to be competitive. I mean, look, Vegas is telling us it's going to be low scoring. These two defenses are playing well. Like, you should just have minimal expectations for these quarterbacks. You should have minimal expectations for these run games. Like, these are two very good defenses.
Would you start? How many of the running backs in this game would you start over Bam Knight or Michael Carter?
3.
There's Walker. There's Marks. I'll go 2. Walker and Marks.
I'd start Charbonnet over both of them just with the touchdown potential.
What are you expecting from Ken Walker? Dave, you called him a buy low on the show earlier this week.
Right.
What do you
I still believe that, but it's all baked into the Seahawks coaching staff eventually realizing that he's their better running back. And I get it. He tries to hit the home run too often, and they like taking work off of him because they want to keep him healthy. Zach Charbonnet, much more of a north-south runner, certainly better in short yardage situations because Ken Walker tries to hit the home run too often. And Charbonnet is the better pass catcher, even though there have been times over Walker's career where he has caught a lot of footballs. It's a coaching decision. I don't like how it's been 11 touches per game for Walker in his last two, whereas he started the year averaging around 16 touches per game. They've lightened up the workload a little bit. No one really likes that they're doing it because Charbonnet is just his efficiency. He's one of the worst efficiency-wise running backs in the league this year, but he's getting these high-value opportunities that Walker's not getting. And this is a really good Texans run defense. They have not allowed very many explosive runs. I think the longest run they've allowed on the year is 21 yards. I buy into that. I think that travels, and I think you're going to see Seattle struggle to run the football.
You think that's good, 21 yards? How about the longest run that Seattle has allowed this year from a running back is 13 yards? They have a suffocating run defense.
It's been great.
I mean, this is where Woody Marks comes into play because
Yes.
I don't think this is a Nick Chubb game. I think we're going to see this low-scoring game, but probably Seattle playing with a lead, and that's what I think will help Marks a lot is the role in the passing game. So we really didn't see it last game for them against the Ravens. We saw it a little bit more against the Titans, but without Dario Gumbawale playing, what we've seen since they put Marks in this role is he's going to be on the field more. Just to go back to the Seattle thing, I read a story where they just trust Charbonnet much more in pass blocking. So Ken Walker's opportunities on those situations are going to be minimal.
And Mike McDonald talked this week about how they don't foresee changes happening. He was asked straight up about that, and he said, no, we like how we're using them. And he said it was fair that they do try to use, yeah, you're right. They do try and use Walker to his strengths. He's a much better zone runner than gap runner. Houston, very good at stopping the run in zone, not as good in gap. This isn't a good matchup for Walker.
Okay.
It's really not a good matchup for anybody.
Right. It isn't. I think JSN, I mean, he's probably going to see a lot of Stingley because there's not much in the slot anymore, but obviously you have to start him. And then Dave wants to start Sam Darnold. He has him 11th. Jamie has Darnold 14th. We talked about that during one question for each game. Would you start Darnold? It's kind of obvious. Darnold or Justin Fields?
Darnold.
Fields for me.
Fields for Jamie. Darnold for Dave. Sam Darnold or Bo Nix?
Darnold.
Nix.
All right, same thing. Darnold for Dave. Other guy for Jamie. They're not that far apart on him, though. Sit Cooper Kupp. Doesn't seem like one of those 35 pass attempt games for Sam Darnold. Start JSN. We're not starting Tony. Sorry, the other receiver for the Seahawks, Horton.
Torrey Horton. No.
Yeah, thank you.
This is not a good matchup, especially for him, since he's much more of a downfield threat. Listen, I think Seattle's going to dink and dunk. Don't get it wrong. I don't think this is going to be some sort of like amazing yardage game for Sam Darnold, but he took on the Texans last year, and that's what he did to absolutely rout the Texans. It was dink and dunk. It was a low yards per attempt average, but he mastered them in the red zone. He had 4 touchdowns. All 4 of them came inside the 10. And I think he can replicate not 4 touchdowns. It could be 2, maybe 3, and it just won't be with a lot of yardage along the way. But I don't see Seattle being able to run the football. And I think Darnold deserves the benefit of the doubt. I said it earlier in the show. I'll say it again. I think he's played really well. And I think just the way that Seattle's offensive line is operated, the amount of 2 tight end sets that they use, I think he'll be clean in the pocket. He'll be able to make some short throws. And that does kind of open the door for Cooper Kupp and PPR to maybe be decent, like as a bye week replacement. Maybe he can end up being okay in that regard, but not necessarily someone that, I can't wait to start Cooper Kupp. I don't feel that way. I feel, though, that Darnold can be okay.
And when he's played well, prior to the last 2 weeks against Tampa Bay and Jacksonville, he was 18, 19, and 20 fantasy points.
Yeah, as the run game has gotten worse, he's gotten better, and his numbers have gotten better.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you one thing. For the guy who asked, should I start Juwan Johnson or Taysom Hill? Take a look at Dalton Schultz. He's 23% rostered.
Yeah.
He's got 3 straight games with 6 targets, 5 catches, 8 or more PPR fantasy points, and the Seahawks absolutely stink against tight ends. Which defense do you like better today in this game?
Seattle slightly.
Agreed.
Washington's at Dallas. Here's the let's see if this sticks stat of the game. Cowboys allow the second most running back receptions on first and second down. In fact, only the Seahawks allow more. That would be great news for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt because, we like him a lot, but a little worried about him having 1 catch. But teams throw on the Cowboys. The Cowboys give up the most running back receptions and receiving yards to begin with. Receiving yards for sure. But they give up a lot of running back receptions on first and second down. We need that. Here's the let's hope this doesn't stick stat of the game. George Pickens, 12.1%, 17.3% target share in 2 games with CeeDee Lamb. All right, I'm going to make this game super easy. Favorite quarterback in this game is?
Dak.
Daniels.
But they're both amazing. Start them both.
Correct.
Favorite running back in this game is?
Javonte.
Okay, but they're both very good. Start them both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Start Pickens and Lamb, no question. Start Ferguson. Is there anybody maybe that you were starting Ferguson over that you are now not starting him over now that Lamb is back?
I don't carry 2 tight ends with Jake Ferguson, so no.
I think it's a fair question. There were some weeks where I was ranking Ferguson ahead of McBride and Warren, but now I've got Ferguson behind those guys.
Yeah, I would start Ferguson over Warren this week, just given the matchups. I would start McBride over Ferguson.
Oh, and Kittle. Kittle hasn't played in a while. I would start Kittle over Ferguson.
Yeah, a lot of people could have Kittle and Ferguson. That's
fair.
Makes sense.
I'd still start Ferguson this week.
Debo Samuel would be top 12-ish if he's healthy, which we assume he will be.
He's got to be healthy, and McLaurin's got to be out.
Yeah, I'm a little bit lower on him just because what we saw last week, going through the entire week, not healthy, and then not producing very much, not being involved as much. But still starter.
And then if McLaurin plays, starter set.
High-end number 3 receiver.
Yeah, that's probably the safe way to go about it.
I mean, he's the downfield guy, and I say it every week. The Cowboys give up the most big plays in the NFL, the most completions of 20 or more air yards. Getting a little better there, but they still stink. And then there's Ertz. I think Ertz is interesting, because everyone else seems like we've covered. But starter sit Zach Ertz, Dave.
I like him. I think this is a shootout, high-scoring game. He's a good short area target. I will like him more if there's no McLaurin in the game, but I think you can get away with starting Ertz as a low-end option.
Agreed. Also, take a look based on your theory of downfield plays, Luke McCaffrey.
Luke, he's made like one every week.
Let me tell you, anyone who has been starting Luke McCaffrey, the luckiest player in the world. He makes 1 catch for a touchdown every week, basically. He never gets more than 3 targets. And if McLaurin's back, there's no chance.
Oh, it's totally dependent on McLaurin being out. But again, hey, go start Zay Jones. Hey, go start.
Right.
I don't know. Take a chance on the guy playing the Cowboys with the point total of 55.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think
I'm not saying you start McCaffrey over those guys, but think about the players that we're talking about here. You just said word for word, Tez Johnson can make your week on 1 big play.
Yeah.
This
Same
is what
thing.
Well, who would you?
McCaffrey's been
That's the
doing.
question. Like who?
Well, I would start Tez Johnson, but that's the same
Okay.
theory. Like you're
Yeah.
banking on, you just Jaden Daniels is awesome. Start him. Like there's reasons for doing this. I wouldn't start Luke McCaffrey if he's playing the Texans, but he's playing the Cowboys.
All right, I think we covered everything with this game.
Like Dave just said, he's got a situation where there are plenty of leagues where you start 3 receivers in a flex, 3 receivers and 2 flexes. Like Luke McCaffrey may be your best chance.
All right, we're out of here, folks. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you on the mailbag. Sunday morning, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you. We'll be in your ear through all weekend. Have a good one. For Dave, Jamie, our producer, Josh, I'm Adam. See you later.